The following narration is a detailed summary of William Shakespeare's Hamlet. Act 1. The play opens on a cold night at Elsinore Castle in Denmark. Guards Francisco and Bernardo, along with Horatio, are on watch. They discuss a ghostly apparition that resembles the deceased King Hamlet. This ghost has been appearing for 2 nights, causing unease among the guards. The ghost represents unresolved issues and foreshadows the turmoil to come. The scene shifts to the royal court, where King Claudius, the new monarch, addresses the court. He discusses the recent death of King Hamlet and his marriage to Queen Gertrude, Hamlet's mother. Claudius attempts to present a facade of stability, urging the court to move on from the past. However, Prince Hamlet is deeply troubled by his father's death in the hasty marriage. He wears black and expresses profound grief, feeling isolated from the court's attempts to celebrate the new king. Hamlet's internal conflict intensifies when he encounters the ghost of his father in the garden. The ghost reveals that he was murdered by Claudius, who poured poison in his ear while he slept. This revelation shocks Hamlet and ignites his desire for revenge. The ghost commands Hamlet to avenge his death, stating, "Remember me." Hamlet vows to remember the ghost's words and seeks to confirm Claudius's guilt. This act sets the stage for the central themes of revenge, madness, and the complexities of human emotion. Hamlet's famous soliloquy, "To be, or not to be," captures his existential crisis. He grapples with the nature of life and death, questioning the morality of seeking revenge. The act ends with Hamlet's determination to avenge his father, establishing a conflict that will drive the narrative forward. Act 2. In Act 2, Hamlet's erratic behavior becomes the focus. Claudius and Gertrude, concerned for Hamlet's mental state, summon Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, his childhood friends, to discover the cause of his melancholy. They find Hamlet acting strangely and evasively, illustrating his internal struggle. Polonius, the king's advisor, believes Hamlet's madness stems from his love for Ophelia, Polonius's daughter. Polonius devises a plan to prove his theory by spying on a conversation between Hamlet and Ophelia. Meanwhile, Hamlet contemplates the nature of his predicament. He feels trapped in a web of deceit, expressing frustration at the world around him. The famous line, "What a piece of work is a man," reflects his disillusionment with humanity. As Hamlet contemplates the moral implications of revenge, he devises a plan to confirm Claudius's guilt. He decides to stage a play, The Murder of Gonzago, that mirrors the circumstances of his father's death. Hamlet believes that by observing Claudius's reaction, he can gauge his guilt. The line "The play's a thing wherein I'll catch the conscience of the king" highlights Hamlet's cunning and strategic thinking. The act culminates in the arrival of the actors, at Elsinore. Hamlet welcomes them and prepares for the play, using it as a tool for his investigation. This act emphasizes themes of appearance versus reality and the use of art as a means of truth. Act 3. Act 3 is the turning point of the play, marked by Hamlet's iconic soliloquy, "To be, or not to be." Here, he reflects on life, death, and the human condition. Hamlet considers the pain of existence and the fear of the unknown after death, revealing his deep internal conflict. This soliloquy encapsulates his struggle with the morality of revenge and the nature of suffering. The play within a play, The Murder of Gonzago, unfolds as Hamlet and the court watch. The scene parallels the ghost story, and Claudius's reaction is telling. As the play portrays the murder, Claudius becomes visibly agitated and ultimately storms out, confirming Hamlet's suspicions of his guilt. This moment is crucial. It validates Hamlet's quest for revenge but also heightens his moral dilemma. Following the play, Hamlet confronts Gertrude in her chamber. This intense scene is fraught with emotion as Hamlet expresses his disgust at her marriage to Claudius. In a fit of rage, he accidentally kills Polonius, who is hiding behind a tapestry. This act of impulsive violence escalates the conflict and deepens Hamlet's moral turmoil. Hamlet's erratic behavior continues to concern Claudius, who realizes he must take action. He sends Hamlet to England, hoping to remove him as a threat. This act emphasizes themes of madness, morality, and the consequences of revenge, pushing Hamlet further into despair and conflict. Act 4. In Act 4, the consequences of Hamlet's actions unfold dramatically. After killing Polonius, Hamlet's fate becomes precarious. Claudius, fearing for his own safety, orders Hamlet's immediate departure to England, where he has arranged for Hamlet to be executed. This manipulation reflects Claudius's cunning and the extent to which he will go to secure his power. Meanwhile, Ophelia is driven to madness by the deaths of her father and Hamlet's rejection. Her descent into insanity culminates in a haunting scene where she sings fragmented songs, reflecting her grief and despair. The line, "There's Rosemary, that's for remembrance," signifies her lost sanity and the tragic impact of the unfolding events. Laertes returns to Denmark, enraged by his father's death and eager for revenge against Hamlet. He aligns himself with Claudius, who uses Laertes' anger to plot against Hamlet. This alliance underscores the theme of revenge and the cycle of violence that perpetuates the tragedy. As Hamlet arrives back in Denmark, he encounters the gravediggers, leading to a poignant reflection on mortality. He holds Yorick's skull, contemplating the inevitability of death. This scene serves as a stark reminder of life's fragility and the futility of revenge, deepening Hamlet's existential crisis as he prepares for the inevitable confrontation with Laertes and Claudius. Act 5. The final act of Hamlet is a culmination of the tensions built throughout the play. The act opens with the gravediggers, who provide a morbid but comedic interlude. Hamlet encounters Ophelia's funeral procession and, overwhelmed by grief, confronts Laertes. Their conflict escalates into a duel, fueled by rage and the desire for vengeance. Claudius's devious plan to eliminate Hamlet is set into motion during the duel. He prepares a poisoned sword and a cup of poisoned wine, ensuring that one way or another, Hamlet will die. As the duel unfolds, both Hamlet and Laertes are wounded by the poisoned blade. Gertrude, unknowingly drinking the poisoned wine intended for Hamlet, collapses, leading to her death. In a final act of vengeance, Hamlet kills Claudius, forcing him to drink the remaining poison wine. The deaths of Gertrude, Laertes, Claudius, and Hamlet create a tragic tableau, underscoring the devastating consequences of revenge and ambition. As Hamlet dies, he entrusts Horatio with the responsibility of telling his story, affirming the theme of legacy and the importance of truth. The play concludes with Fortinbras arriving to claim the throne of Denmark, a bittersweet end to the chaos, suggesting a glimmer of hope amid the tragedy. The following edition is about whether Hamlet himself acted ethically. The question of whether Hamlet acted ethically is complex and multifaceted. Here are some key points to consider. 1. Revenge and morality. Hamlet is driven by the desire to avenge his father's murder, which raises ethical questions about revenge. The ghost of King Hamlet urges him to seek vengeance against Claudius, but this sets off a moral conflict for Hamlet. He grapples with the morality of killing Claudius, especially since murder begets more murder. 2. Indecision and consequences. Hamlet's indecision and procrastination complicate his ethical standing. Instead of taking immediate action, he philosophizes about existence and the morality of his choices. This delay leads to unintended consequences, including the deaths of Polonius, Ophelia, Laertes, and Gertrude, raising questions about whether he should have acted sooner or differently. 3. Treatment of others. Hamlet's treatment of Ophelia is another ethical concern. He oscillates between love and cruelty, ultimately contributing to her madness and death. His harsh treatment of her raises questions about his respect for her autonomy and well-being. 4. Ends justifying the means? Hamlet's ultimate goal, to expose Claudius's guilt and restore justice, poses another ethical dilemma. Is it justifiable to commit immoral acts, like murder, in the pursuit of a perceived greater good? This question challenges the audience to consider the ethics of ends versus means. 5. Tragic flaw. Hamlet's tragic flaw, his introspection and philosophical nature, leads him to question not just the morality of his actions, but also the nature of life and death. His constant doubt and reflection illustrate the human struggle with ethical decisions, making his character relatable but morally ambiguous. Conclusion. In the end, Hamlet's actions are marked by a blend of ethical dilemmas, personal conflicts, and tragic consequences. While he seeks to fulfill a moral obligation to avenge his father, his methods and the fallout from his choices raise significant questions about the ethics of revenge, the impact of inaction, and the complexity of human morality.